Welcome back to the Garza Gaming Channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to get that big dog Anubis, right? But not at level 40. I'm going to show you how to get this big dog at level 19. That's right. As early as level 19, you can own an Anubis. Now, Anubis is a freaking OP pal, and what makes it even more unique is there are no additional wild Anubises out there. There's only one Anubis that can be found on the map, and that's a level 47 boss that's found way up in the north. So you're going to be able to get a level 47 type POW at level 19. And I'm telling you right now, this POW is super powerful, not just in combat, but also in the various different skills that you can use on your base. As you can see here, man, Anubis is just so OP. He comes with handiwork level 4, transporting level 2, and mining level 3, man. I'm telling you, handiwork level 4 at level 19 is just godly. You can just spit out spheres like they're going out of style. And if you're lucky enough to find any type of epic or legendary armor, having that hard handiwork level 4 just allows you to build that armor just so much faster. But battle is pretty much where this POW just shines. As you can see here, a level 24 Anubis engaging this level 23 King Paka boss, and he's just knocking them down to 50% health within the first few seconds of the battle. This just goes to show you how powerful this POW is, and he's just at level 24. Imagine as he grows with you. I'm telling you, having this POW at level 19 is just going to be insane. So now that I piqued your interest, let me tell you that I'm going to tell you everything there is to know about how to get this Anubis. I'm going to break it down to technology, ingredients, POWs, where to locate the POWs that you're going to need, every single thing. Now we have a lot to cover, so let's get started. Okay, so let's first talk about technology and ingredients. Okay, so the very first piece of technology that I would recommend is a campfire. Now, a campfire is going to be situational depending on where you set up your base. When I put my Anubis egg into my incubator, it said that it felt a little cold and it reduced the incubation time dramatically, especially at night. It fell to 0. So by adding that campfire, it helped me to hatch the egg a lot quicker. Okay, so the next piece of technology is also optional, but I'd strongly recommend that you put a feeding box inside the breeding farm, because one thing I found is the POWs that I was breeding seemed to get hungry a lot faster and then would exit the breeding farm and go on the other side of my base to where I had my breeding feeding boxes located. And this slowed down the breeding process immensely. But by adding that feeding box inside your breeding farm, it just speeds things up. Okay, so this next piece of technology is also optional. You're going to need red berries in order to bake a cake. So you can either get red berries from bushes, or you can I found that it's easier just to get them from your plantation, because obviously you're going to be wanting to make more Anubises in the future. So this is just an easy way of having red berries, you know, whenever you need them. Okay, so the next piece of technology that you're going to want to build is a ranch. Like I said earlier, you're going to need to bake a cake in order to get your POWs to breed inside your breeding farm. And 3 of the ingredients, milk, eggs, and honey, can be made using various different POWs and assigning them to a ranch. The next mandatory piece of technology that you're going to need is an egg incubator. Now, keep in mind that an egg incubator can be bought at level 7 using ancient technology points, not your regular technology points. So the next piece of the technology that you're going to need to make is a mill. Now, a mill is used to make the flour, which is another ingredient for the cake that you're going to need in order to get your POWs to breed. So the next piece of technology that I would recommend is a wheat plantation. And the wheat plantation pretty much falls in line with everything I said about the berry plantation. And you're going to need wheat in order to get your mill to make the flour to bake the cake. So it just makes sense to have a wheat plantation, you know, in your base, so you can always have that wheat whenever you need it. The next piece of technology is also mandatory, right? And that's going to be your cooking pot. Your cooking pot is what you're going to use to bake your cake that you're going to need in order to get your POWs to actually breed inside your breeding farm. And the last piece of technology is also mandatory, and that's going to be your breeding farm. And your breeding farm is where you're going to use to combine your 2 POWs and the cake that you baked in order to produce the Anubis egg. Okay, so now that we got the technology out of the way, let's talk about pals. The first pal that you're going to want to capture is a chicken. Now, the chickens are located pretty much all around the newbie starting point, but I found that a bunch of chickens simply right outside my base. Now, the chickens are what's going to produce your eggs once you assign them to your ranch. Now, the second pal that you're going to want to capture is a cow, because the cows produce milk once assigned to your ranch. And the cows can pretty much be found in the center of the map where I have highlighted here in the orange. The third pal that you're going to need to get is a bee. Now, the bees is what you're going to use to assign to your ranch to make honey. Now, the bees can be found to the northern side of the world, as you can see here highlighted in orange. Okay, so now that you produce and gather all the ingredients needed, you can go ahead and start baking your cake. Now, the cake takes a significant amount of time to bake, so I would definitely assign the highest level fire pal you have to baking the cake. Okay, so now that we talked about the various different pals you're going to need to make the various different ingredients for your cake, let's talk about the two pals that you're going to need to breed in order to get that huge, rocky Anubis egg. Okay, so the first pal that you're going to need in order to breed an Anubis is going to be a bushy. So the bushies can be found in the southwestern portion of the map. Now, at level 18 or 19, it might be a pain to go all the way to the southwestern side of the map, so I find it easier just to go ahead and go for the bushy boss. Now, the bushy boss is located really close to the newbie zone, pretty much in the center of the map as indicated here in this red circle. Now, the bushy boss is level 23 and can be found in the bamboo grove. So once you arrive at the fast travel point in the bamboo groves, head directly south to enter the sealed realm of the Swordmaster. This is where you're going to find the level 23 bushy boss. Okay, so once inside, you're going to see that this boss has some straight line attacks, but he does have a rush attack that you have to watch out for. But once you whittle him down, he's fairly easy to catch. Now, in this video, I'm using Giga Spheres, but you can pretty much use the level 1 and level 2 gears on this boss with no issues. So now that you have your bushy, the next pal that you're going to need for breeding is going to be the Penking. Now, the easiest way to find the Penking is pretty much in the island sanctuary all the way south of the newbie area, as indicated here in the orange. Now, while it looks like the island is way far south, keep in mind that you can actually fly on the top of the water with any type of POW, and it does not use any type of stamina. Now, the #1 wildlife sanctuary is where you're going to find these Penkings, and there's various different plateaus, but as you see here, I found them on the second plateau fairly easy. And also keep in mind that these are sanctuaries, so as soon as you engage any POW, you are going to set off the alarms for the protectors. While you can attempt to catch them without engaging them by sneaking up behind them, and with a Gigaball you had a 50% chance of catching them, I just found you're going to waste a lot less spheres by simply just knocking down their hit points and throwing a sphere at them. That's just the most efficient way to capture them, to tell you the truth. Okay, so now that we talked about the various technology, POWs for ingredients, the cake we have to build, and the 2 POWs that we need to get in order to do the breeding, let's bring it all together and start the process. Okay, so now that you baked your cake and grabbed it from the cooking pot, simply grab your Penking and go ahead and assign them to your breeding farm by throwing them inside the ring. As you can see, if he's appropriately assigned to the breeding farm, there'll be a 1 in either the male or female nomenclature there, or identifier. Then grab your opposite sex that you haven't thrown in there yet and throw it in there. In this case, the bushy, and now you'll see 1 of 1 for male, 1 of 1 for female. And then to finish things off and get the chicka chicka bow bow going, just simply put your cake inside the box. And once the breeding cycle is complete, you'll see a huge rocky egg fall to the ground. Simply pick it up, and we're on our way to the incubator. So once at the incubator, just simply put in your egg and the incubation timer will start. As you can see here, my egg was a little cold, so the incubation speed was at 0. I actually had to build a fire next to the egg in order to warm it up enough so it can start the incubation timer, and even then it was incubation speed at 50%. Now, I thought that, if I did one fire and it put it up to 50%, maybe if I added numerous other fires around it, it would increase the heat and thus increasing the incubation speed. Well, unfortunately, all this did is pretty much just created a fire hazard because even after 8 or 9 fires, the incubation speed was still at 50%. So adding additional fires did not increase the incubation speed. And once the egg is incubated, boom, here you go, your brand new shiny Anubis. So there you go, your very own shiny Anubis, right? So I hope this video helped you out. And if so, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm Garza, your OG on the GC. We'll see you next time.